When we solve systems, our goal, our end product, is to find the x and the y value that make both equations true. So that's what we're looking for, whether we do a addition method, substitution method, or graphing method. We'll start with addition method. The goal in addition method is to make it so that you can add together your two equations, the x's, the y's, and the numbers, and one of the variables needs to cancel out, needs to add up to be 0. So we actually have a couple different options here. I think I'm going to take this first equation and multiply it by -3. And the reason that I chose that is because when I multiply this y by -3, it's going to become -3y. -3y is going to add with +3y and add up to be 0. And another option, I could have multiplied the second equation by 2, because then this would have become -4x, and then I could have added 4x and -4x to become 0. So let's go here. I'm going to distribute this. This will be -12x minus 3y equals -39. And then I'm just going to rewrite this second equation. Another good thing that I teach to look for is with one of the variables, you need to have the same coefficients, opposite signs. That'll allow you, when you add them together, for this term to cancel out. So now we're going to add the x's. We get -14x. The y's add up to be 0, which is what we want, equals -56. Then we'll just solve for x. Since that y is out of the way, we can just solve for x now. So x is equal to 4. We're half done. Remember, we want to find the x and the y value that make this system of equations true. Now that we have the x value, we can just take one of our original equations. Doesn't matter which one. I picked this first one. And we know that x is 4, so sub in a 4 instead of that x value. So this term becomes 16 plus y equals 13, and then you can solve for y. So -16 from both sides. Y equals -3. You write your answer as an ordered pair. And then that's the answer. We could check this by subbing in 4 and -3 into our equations. 4 times 4 is 16 plus -3 is 13. It makes that equation true. And then -2 times 4 is 8. -8 minus 9 is -17. So our ordered pair, our x and y values, make both of those equations true. Next, for the substitution method. Again, we want to find the x and y value that make both equations true. For the substitution method, you need to get one equation where you have x by itself, or y. This looks like a good candidate because I have no coefficient in front of that x, so that means just by subtracting 2y from both sides, I can get an x equals or a y equals equation all by itself. Now what I'm going to do is take this is the x stuff, and I'm going to sub it into this equation instead of the x. So it'll look like this. I'll have my equation, and instead of the x, I'm just rewriting this equation, but I'm taking out the x because I know that x is equal to this stuff here. So now I can sub in the x stuff from that equation that I made in instead of x. Now that I have all y's in my equation, I should be able to solve. So I'll distribute. Add like terms. And solve for y. Now I'm half done. I know that y is equal to 4. So I'll go back to this equation probably, although you could use any of these equations. But I'm going to use the equation that I made here. X equals negative 2y plus 6. And I now know that y is 4. So I'm substituting, instead of that y, I'm going to put 4. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Negative 8 plus 6, again, think money. So I've got x is negative 2, y is 4. So again, you can write that as an ordered pair for your answer. And you're done. To do the graphing method, you want to graph both of these lines and find the point of intersection. That will tell you at what point the x and the y coordinates are the same for these two. So when we graph lines, the b number is your y-intercept. So you go to your y-axis and make a dot at, at negative 2. And then your m number is your slope. And that's rise over run. So you make that number into a fraction. And then 2 is your rise, 1 is your run. So you're going to go up 2, right 1. So from this starting point, you go up 2, right 1, make a dot. It's your pattern. Up 2, right 1, make a dot. Up 2, right 1. Also, you go down 2, back 1. You just continue that pattern backwards. So there's our first line. And our second line, y equals negative x plus 4. Again, our b number gives us the y-intercept. So positive 4 on the y-axis. And then this number right here, our m number, gives us our slope. Now there's no coefficient there, but since there's a negative nothing, we'll put a negative 1 in here. So our m number is negative 1. We make that into a fraction. And then that's our pattern. Since it's negative, it'll be down 1, right 1. So from here, we go down 1, right 1, dot. Down 1, right 1, dot. Oh, there's our point of intersection. So then we look for the x-coordinate of this point of intersection and the y-coordinate of this point of intersection. The x-coordinate's 2, the y-coordinate's 2, and so that's our answer. Again, we can check that in our equation. 2 equals 2 times 2 minus 2. Yep. 2 equals negative 2 plus 4. Yep. So that is the point that makes both of these equations true.